Well, hello and welcome to Shambles FC right here on shamblesfc.com. And today we do the Arsenal Liverpool post-match podcast with my friend AJ and Amanda, who is a Liverpool supporter, and get her perspective on the match itself. A disappointing weekend for Arsenal. We're losing to Liverpool in a very, very tough match. Was it a boring match? Of course, but that's what you get with the clash of two titans in Liverpool and Arsenal. I think they canceled themselves out very well. And it only, you know what? Credit and power to Arsenal, only restricting them to a goal off of a set piece as opposed to open match goal. And we go in depth on the match itself, and then we do some huge signings for Liverpool and for Arsenal as well in Del Piero and Cape. But the biggest one, of course, is Liverpool with Alexander Isak. It's just two big blows for Arsenal on Sunday. And you know what? We have a really cool conversation about that. We talk about the upcoming games and fixtures that both Arsenal and Liverpool are going to have. We talk about the Champions League draw and much more. So without further ado, let's get right into the podcast with AJ and Amanda. Well, everybody, hello and welcome to Shambles FC, an Arsenal podcast. And we are doing the Arsenal-Liverpool match review. And unfortunately, Arsenal did not do the business and they lost against Liverpool. But hey, we'll get right into that. But first, I'll welcome in my guest as always, AJ. Welcome back to the podcast, my brother. How are you?
Doing well, man. Well, doing okay, actually, to be honest. But thanks for having me on, Mario.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you so much for coming back on this Labor Day Monday. Happy Labor Day, by the way, to everybody. We'll be discussing obviously the Liverpool match. But firstly, we have an origin story. We have a first time podcaster breaking her cherry in the podcasting scene. Unfortunately, she is not an Arsenal fan, but she's another Reds fan. She's a Liverpool fan. Amanda, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. Don't brag too much on your not so deserved W. I'm just kidding. But how are you?
Good, Mario. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I probably wouldn't be here if the result was any different from yesterday, but I'm really happy to be here now. So
awesome. Thank you so much. And I think before we get into the podcast, because you really do have a really cool origin story, so you don't have to give us your whole, whatever you don't want to give out. But, I think it's a very interesting story. I've heard it. To how you started supporting Liverpool, was it because of family or, you just decided, hey, I'm going to choose a team and I'm going to choose Liverpool. But it's just interesting to hear the origin story. So go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. I think everybody has an interesting story regardless, but I'll keep mine kind of short and sweet. Both my parents, well, my whole family is from Liverpool. They emigrated to Canada back in the 70s after they got married, and I was born and bred Canadian, but about 20 years ago, my dad took me to a pub when I was 16 in Guelph. And we went to watch the FA Cup final, 2006 LFC versus West Ham. And I don't know if you Arsenal fans remember that, but Stevie scored a screamer to tie it up in the last minute of the game. And we went on to win penalties 3-1. It was really who wanted to score that day, because everybody seemed to be missing those penalties that day. I remember that even Pepe Reina stepped up and took a penalty and missed almost immediately. So I do remember the game very vividly. It started out and I thought, what the heck has my dad brought me to? Because Jamie Carragher scored an own goal in the first few minutes. And I thought, ooh, this team is rough. But then by the end of it, of course, we're just screaming our heads off. And it was a great bonding moment for my dad and I. And then I was kind of hooked after that. He showed me the 2005 Champions League final, and obviously that's a love story in itself for any Liverpool fan or anybody that was trying to get into football. Probably a big reason a lot of them are Liverpool fans. But and then I went to my first game at Anfield not too long after that, and got to see a Champions League game. It was kind of a first round game against Maccabi Haifa, but Liverpool won again, and it just it's actually when I got this shirt. It's my first shirt. I got it outside Anfield. Bought it, threw it on, went inside, and just cheered my head off for 90 minutes. And yeah, been in love ever since.
That's an awesome story. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I hope you touch on your pilgrimages out to Anfield, which is really cool because I haven't popped my pilgrimage cherry, I should say. But that's like one of my things. It's like one of my bucket lists to go to the Emirates and just watch them. And like, I want to do everything. I want to do the stadium tour with a legend. I want to pay all that money. I don't give a crap. I want to do the tour. I want to see the statues. I'll probably end up crying, to be honest with you, because of you know, when you get so emotional, it's not like you want to, you know, be a pansy about it, but you know, I'm pretty sure you were like that was it. Like that was your AJ. Have you ever gone to the Emirates and watched a game?
Oh man, to be honest, kind of somewhat similar origin stories. For me, my dad's from London, so that's why I'm an Arsenal fan. So I've been fortunate enough and he still has family out there, so I've been fortunate enough to, when I go to England, I don't have to like pay for a hotel or anything, which is definitely nice. Haven't actually been in nearly 10 years now. So me and my wife are planning to go again next year. But no, honestly, at the Emirates, I've actually seen probably around like 15 games, which I'm pretty
so good
proud of. But it's also very lucky and very situational, just that I'm able to stay there, or my parents took me before they were like, you got to buy your own tickets.
I might have to bug you
no.
to get some
some
knowledge and some help, because I mean, it's not hard, but I've heard that it can be hard to grab tickets depending on where you go. Like Arsenal,
for sure.
Canada.
I mean, I'm a little nervous too, because where we are trying to go this season, in like maybe February time frame, and I've only seen Arsenal play teams like, you know, West Ham. Actually, I saw Newcastle, but that was at Newcastle Stadium. Leicester, Crystal Palace, Fulham, City before they were good. So I've seen a lot of teams that actually I've never seen like any big games like a Liverpool, a United, a Chelsea, or a Spurs. And the week that we're planning to go, it's Spurs and then Chelsea. So super excited, but also I'm nervous about even getting the tickets. You know, so we'll see.
I mean, I don't know if you want to see a Liverpool match, you know.
Not after this one.
Probably get
at home, maybe.
You know what? I think we could get right into it, and you know, I just gotta say to start, before we start, I think both teams were evenly matched. I think literally, and I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but I think both Liverpool and Arsenal are probably the best teams in the land right now, and I think they really sort of clashed. Like, you know, it was so hard head to head, trying to fight each other. And I think Amanda and I were speaking about this via text when I finally was able to watch the game yesterday, is that they were deadlocked. Like it only took a set piece to break them apart. And I guess, you know, us as Arsenal fans, AJ, we can take solace in the fact that we never conceded from open play against Liverpool. And I think even though we're the third game into the season for Liverpool, they were clinical enough to finish in that free kick, sobs coming out of nowhere, like Jesus Christ. But yeah, you know, I think we can be proud if we're gonna have any sort of takeaways. I think we can be proud of the fact that we stopped the best team, clearly the best team in the league right now, from scoring. But I guess we can start from the bench. Right away, the team selection, AJ, and I want to get your thoughts on this, very defensively minded. Like you had Marino in there, Declan Rice, Zubamendi, and then you have Martinelli, who I want to focus on a little bit more, and then Madueke, and then Gyökeres, who was very non-existent. Was that the right selection? Because like you had, and I understand why, you know, maybe it was with more of the safe option with Eze being fresh. You had Martin Odegaard. For me, I'm just going to put it out there. If he was fit to be on the bench, he should have started. And then, you know, Nwaneri, like none of those attacking options were available. Do you think it was a safe bet? Like very defensive.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it last week. I think I remember even saying that I had a feeling he would put Marino in as the Odegaard replacement just because he's more defensively solid, and we're playing Liverpool at Anfield. And then I think Martinelli he loves in the big games because he's so defensively hardworking. He's pacey, so on the counterattack, in theory, he's a good transition weapon. So I kind of could have predicted this was going to be Arteta's lineup. It's just he tends to go safer than riskier. I wasn't honestly hugely upset with the lineup. I hear your point on Odegaard. If he was fit enough to be on the bench, he was fit enough to start. But to be honest, when he came on, I don't think he looked amazing. I don't think he looked super fit. So it wasn't a huge deal for me having Marino. It was more, which we'll get to later, I'm sure, but the substitutions I think were questionable.
Yeah, like I mean, I mean, for me, I think that the bright spot with those substitutions, and I want to talk about Eze a little bit. I think Eze was he looked great. He looked fresh. This is like what his third time playing Liverpool in like in a span of a few weeks. Like they played against Crystal Palace and clearly he missed a penalty or he missed a goal, I think, against that game. But he looked fresh, and we can get back to him in a little bit. But like, I mean, Amanda, what did you think of your lineup? Pretty straightforward. I think it picked itself. Were you at all concerned about how Arsenal were lining up against Liverpool?
I think you guys lined up exactly how I expected you to line up, and I think you almost have to, right? I think you go into these big games, and a lot of people think it's going to be this big clash of the Titans, and it's going to be like a 3-3, or somebody's going to get the winner, and it's just going to be this big sensational Super Sunday showdown. But in fact, teams like Arsenal and teams like Liverpool are doing so well these days because of their tactics, and I think somebody like Arteta knows what Slot is going to do, and somebody like Slot knows how Arteta is going to respond. And so I think that's where we kind of saw, like you say, Mario, that we almost canceled each other out in midfield because, you guys were being very defensive. Mo wasn't getting a lot of love up the right side. And I think that although Szoboszlai being at right back, which worked phenomenally, I still just don't. I think that works in the meantime, but we really need Frimpong back. And, I think barring Frimpong, that was probably our strongest lineup. I'm a bit concerned we didn't score from open play. I think you're absolutely right. In the first half, the first 45 minutes, you guys just absolutely dominated us. And I thought, oh God, like we've made a mistake here. Like something's got to give. And I was just waiting for you guys to get it in. But I think Slot is really good with his tactics. And I think he just mixed it up a bit in the second half. And we did get a little more give out of you guys. And, there were definitely some moments where I thought we were going to score from open play, and obviously Ekitike did get the goal, but it was ruled offside, which it absolutely 100% was. But the lineup, I had no issues with the lineup. I'm curious to see moving forward if the Isak deal did go through, how we're going to line up after that, because I've been pretty confident with the lineups that he's been playing so far, but I think things are really about to change for Liverpool.
Yeah, I think I heard something about Mo Salah being in Calafiori's pocket. I don't know how true that is, but I think that's where he was for most of the game, which thank God. But yeah,
I think I saw Salah's crown sticking out of his.
Oh, stop it! Okay, here we go. Yeah, okay. So I knew at some point you were going to talk about like what the Egyptian king Mo Salah. But yeah, I think with both. I think you touched a little bit on Etikite there, Amanda. Hopefully she comes back. There she is. I think both him and Gyökeres were non-existent in that game. And we can talk a little bit more on that. But I think one of the biggest talking points, AJ, was how early Saliba got off injured. And once again, our track record with injuries is already popping in. And I have to say, like, what the hell is going on at Arsenal that all of these injuries are happening in such a small window. Within the first 3 games already, Kai Havertz, Saka, Odegaard, now Saliba. And then I thought for sure Timber was going to come off with like a hammy issue there towards the end. Like, huge blow. I don't think I've seen anything, and correct me if I'm wrong, AJ, if you've seen something on how long, what sort of injury is Saliba carrying with his ankle there, but I haven't seen anything. But there is light at the end of that tunnel. Because it seems like Arteta prepared for this. And as much as we criticize, or some fans criticize, Arteta and his tactics and whatnot, and I don't know how much of this is Arteta or is it Berta, but Mosquera, like, he came in and he just, for the first couple of minutes, there were some misplaced passes there. He didn't look very, settled, but he settled very well. So I just curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Mosquera did better than I expected. I was extremely nervous. Obviously, after 3 minutes, Saliba's already coming off. He rolled his ankle in the warm-up, apparently. We tried to still play with him. And then clearly he wasn't, fit enough, or ankle wasn't feeling right enough to be able to continue. But I thought Mosquera did extremely well and this makes me feel confident that even though Saliba's out, that we'll be okay. I mean, I think if you look at, what was it, almost 3 years ago now, that first year of our 3 years of second places in a row, but that first year when we were kind of unexpectedly top of the league for, most of the season, we lost the season because of the Saliba and the Tomiyasu injury. We had people like Rob Holding coming in who, weren't at the level. But looking at Mosquera, and then even looking at Madueke coming in for Saka, I'm kind of feeling confident that we can at least handle these injuries a little bit more, but please stop. No more injuries, because at this point, if we have any more people coming out, I don't know what kind of cover we have. And, I think Odegaard, you would think that we have enough cover because now we have Eze, which I understand he's fresh.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to risk playing him at the start. But we have Eze, Nwaneri, Dowman coming through. We have all these, young, not Eze, but we have these attacking midfielders who can cover for Odegaard. So hopefully we'll start relying on them more. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, I mean, all these Arsenal fans that are very, delusional, and it's not all of us, but some of us can be like, very critical of Arteta and the way that, because I've seen some tweets where it's like, oh, if Eze was there, why didn't you start him? It's not like he's not fit. He's been playing. Dude, he's literally been with the team for like a week. Like, he's had a couple of training sessions. There's no way that you can put him in such a big game. Yeah, it's cool that he's on the bench, and we would be able to see him at some point, and we did. We could see what he's capable of, even on the left flank, because Martinelli was absolute garbage. I'm sorry, he's honestly, he's got to go, and we can talk about him in a little bit more as well. But yeah, it was great to see, that left hand side is where we were weak with Martinelli. But aside from that, like, the bright spot was Calafiori. I think we were talking about that a little bit, right? Where he needs to sort of, we were afraid of how high up the pitch he can play, and he was keeping Mo Salah at bay. I think for the most part, the front line, we kept Liverpool's front line at bay. Which is great, because Mo Salah, even though he's like 94 years old, that guy can still score on you. Etikite or Ekakite or whatever, how you pronounce his name. He was non-existent. So was Gyökeres, and I do feel like we should talk about Gyökeres in a little bit as well. But that was crazy. I think there's one spot though, Amanda, where I wanted to talk to you about, where there was a challenge on Mo Salah from Calafiori. I think is at the beginning where he there was like was it a shout for a penalty, I believe, but I think Salah went down a little too easy there. I'm curious to see, as a Liverpool fan, what were you thinking? Like, did you think that was a foul? Because I didn't see it. I don't think I saw anything there from Calafiori.
No, I agree. I am realistic. I'd love to be the fan that always says, yeah, it was a foul, yeah, it was a penalty. I think, most of us will sit there during the game and scream penalty. But looking back on it, all the video replays that we have these days, there wasn't too much in it, but I think he was kind of responding to how the game was going, right? I think he recognized very early on that he wasn't getting a lot of love up that right side. And so I think he thought, I've got to switch it up. I've got to do what I can. And I think any decent striker will, try to play those tricks. We've all seen them do it. So yeah, I there wasn't a lot in it, but I think there was enough, and I think the whole game went like that. I think there were light touches on both sides where,
Yep.
like they just had been shot from the stands. So
we had one for sure. I mean, Marino in the box as well for, I don't know if it was a corner or a free kick, but there was a moment where he had a slight touch and went down too easily. And I think it's because they know that there's this new, Premier League directive where they're trying to clamp down on people holding each other in the box. But for me, it's just part of the game. Obviously, I think there's a line where it becomes too much. If you're like literally grappling the person, I think that that's obviously a foul. But any kind of little contact, even just a slight shirt pull, for me, I don't think it's enough to go down.
Football's still a contact sport for me. Like there's absolutely going to be bumping of shoulders and there has to be some physicality to it. It's what the English Premier League is known for. So yeah, I agree. WWE moves in the box shouldn't be allowed, but let's use our physicality. Let's bump shoulders. Let's see whoever's stronger win the ball.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think and this is coming from a referee's perspective, because I'm not no Premier League referee, but I do referee here at home, and football is subjective. It's very subjective. Yes, there are guidelines to what constitutes a yellow card, what constitutes a red card. Is it dangerous play, or there's a thin line there where it's very subjective, and you're right, it is a contact sport, and a lot of these guys that when I'm reffing, they're like, oh my god, he nibbled at me, and I'm like, dude, it's a contact sport, like get up, like that sort of thing. And I think that's what we tend to see in the game, because there was a huge controversy with VAR when PGMOL came out and said that they actually did that mistake. I think was that Fulham against Chelsea, I believe.
Yeah, that was Fulham Chelsea. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there is a bit more scrutiny on the referees now. And you're right, AJ. I think players know that with that new directive, and I'm gonna go down easy. But yeah, Marino's was even worse than Salah, and I remember that. Like Marino was like, and honestly, like for me, Marino, it did not look convincing at all. A couple of misplaced passes and whatnot. But as much as I give him, criticism, I'm gonna say it again. Raya, a mistake. This is his third game in a row making huge mistakes, and against the champions, which they obviously didn't convert. But I'm still hesitant about Raya. And like, is he the best is he the best goalkeeper in the league? I'm gonna say no. He's good. He is good, but I don't know. Am I over exaggerating? Like, am I just going crazy? But that's 3 mistakes.
No, I see. To be honest, I think we have Liverpool and Arsenal have the 2 best goalkeepers in the league. I think Alisson has been the best by far for the last 6, 7, 8 years now. Right. And I think Raya actually is the only one who's kind of come close to him. I think his ability to claim crosses for not being a super tall guy. I think his distribution is good. If anything, he just sometimes takes unnecessary risks with those passes where anytime, if he plays it out wide to the right center back or left center back, I get those, and I think that those tend to work. It's when he plays those like balls that are straight into the center back that don't, or not straight into the center back, straight into the defensive midfielder that don't make sense to me, because there's a guy right on his back coming in hard, and if you lose that ball right there, it's an easy opportunity at that point. So I still think he's great, though.
Yeah, he's great. Okay, but quickly, does he save that Szoboszlai free kick? Does he save that?
Sorry if you get my cat, by the way.
No, you're good.
No, honestly, no? I think that was No, I think that was such an amazing free kick that unless you knew that and were standing on that side, but you wouldn't be standing on that side based off of where the ball is and where the wall is placed. So, oh, my cat's right here.
No, yeah, I can't hear him. There you go.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There's the introduction of the cat.
Yeah. But to be honest,
there's no.
I just think it was such an amazing free kick that you can't be upset with Raya on that.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Yeah. I just wanted to piggyback on that, Mario.
Yeah, go ahead.
I completely agree with the Raya comment, because that exact situation did happen, AJ, where he did play it out to central defensive midfielder, and we almost scored from that.
You did, yeah.
So yeah, I think that is definitely something that he struggles with. But I agree, he's definitely the closest keeper to come to Alisson in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think she's cutting in and out a little.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely agree. I think Raya is extremely good. So I'm not worried about it. But again, I know that you are a goalkeeper yourself, so you have probably better opinions than I do.
I don't know. It's just, I mean, I'm not a pro by any means and way off the mark, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know. For me, I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I mean, obviously, he won the Golden Gloves last season for a reason. Like, I mean, I know that he's a good keeper. I think he's good. Definitely better than Aaron Ramsdale, you know. But yeah, it was just one of those things where it's very concerning for me, just to see. It's like another mistake, but you know, I mean, on the flip side, it's a good thing that, you know, Liverpool didn't capitalize on it, because I mean, you're making a mistake like that against the champions, they'll bury it like 9 out of 10 times. You know, they'll absolutely bury it. But you know, it's on. It's.
I had a quick question. Quick question for Amanda too, just because I'm curious. Obviously, it's only been 3 games, but what are your thoughts on Wirtz? I know that it's extremely early, but you know, how do you think he's been kind of starting his first 3 games with the club?
Yeah, a bit up and down. It's a little concerning. I think that he's still getting used to how Slot's playing him. But I think it'll come. I think naturally it'll come. I think he does have talent. I think he's also still getting used to the Premier League, right? Both him and Kirk, as you can very clearly see, the physicality. They're getting knocked off the ball a lot. They're losing possession, which looks really bad on them. But I think eventually they will find their pace. And if they have to find some physicality, then they're going to have to. But a little concerned about Wirtz, but I hold faith. I hold faith.
What's your starting, we'll say, front 6? So if everybody's fit, 3 midfielders, 3 forwards, and assuming Isak has come in.
Yeah, I'd have Ekitike and Isak up front for sure.
4-4-2 or
see, there's been so much discussion, but yes, it's likely going to have to be a 4-4-2, or like a 4. I don't even know how you would do it, but yeah, 4-4-2. Let's say 4-4-2 just for conventional reasons. I think, again, very similar to yesterday's lineup. Szoboszlai in midfield, if he's not at right back, I would prefer to have him in there. Ujo's been great for us, but he's not a starter. I'd rather see a Ryan Gravenberch in there. Obviously Mo up the right, and then I think seeing Wirtz up that left, it'll come. It'll come.
Do you remove McAllister? Who was it that you said you remove?
I kind of prefer Szoboszlai over McAllister. I know that that's probably a hot take, but I think Szoboszlai, I don't think he's been given the opportunity to shine yet.
Right.
And so maybe interchanging Gravenberch and McAllister. McAllister has had so much trouble staying fit. As you can see right now, we're missing him again. So I would still pick Szoboszlai and Gravenberch over like McAllister and Szoboszlai or Gravenberch.
Yeah, I mean, I would too. McAllister sucks, but I know. You know I don't like him. I think I
know
think
you don't like him.
I think your shining star, honestly, even though it was Soboslai because he got man of the match, I think Kirkez was really good. I think him.
You do?
I,
Wow.
like
See, that's interesting.
no,
Yeah.
You have some hot takes, Mario.
well,
You do, yeah.
like Kirkez, he really surprised me. He really shined at that back line because as good as Madueke played on the flank on the right side, I think Kirkez was equal to it, and I think he sort of kept them at bay. Like I think he had a really good game, Kirkez. I don't know that's just me.
I think it was interesting for me to see the first, like, you guys just had the lion's share of the possession in the first 15, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you guys very quickly recognized that Soboslai was not going to give you anything up the left. So I think that's why Kirk has maybe shined for you a bit, is because we saw him more often. But I think they were going after him because he's a little bit weaker. He's not a tall guy. He's not a big guy. He definitely was playing very far back, which the intent is to play him a little bit further forward. But I definitely was concerned about Kirkez.
Really?
I was like, oh my God,
I think
he's
he held
going
his
to
own.
give something up.
I think he held his
I
own.
mean, he did in the end, right? Like, I guess in the
Physicality.
end he did. Yeah, I guess in the end he did. He didn't give anything up, but at the same time, I think you guys went after him for a reason. And I think
Yeah,
other
true.
teams are going to see that, and I think that he's going to have a problem.
Well, we've spoken about this before, right? I think you and I, Amanda, and even with AJ last week, where there is vulnerabilities in your back line. I mean, but I see that more in your central defensive pairing. Konate, even like I think he had the game of his freaking life yesterday because like
Huh.
I mean, just like I said, Calafiori had Salah in his pocket. Konate had Gyökeres in his pocket, and I think Gyökeres was non-existent. Like he didn't have. I think he had one yellow card and like 0 touches or something like that. I saw his stats was just it was wild. And he just he wasn't there. Like again, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's to me it's concerning.
I think the nice thing about being a fan for so long, you kind of see these ebbs and flows. And what's really nice about managers like Jurgen and Slot now is that when you have a feeling, they seem to be able to respond, which means they see the same stuff that you're seeing when they're playing, right? And I think that Konate was made very aware that he'd been kind of front and center, not doing very well. So it looks to me like that was addressed in a very harsh way before the match yesterday. And he absolutely did. Again, you guys having the lion's share possession in the first 15, 20 minutes, you were really trying to poke and prod us and see where you could get in. You weren't getting in up the left. You weren't getting in center. So you guys kind of gravitated towards that right side. But yeah, it shut Gyökeres down, and Konate made some great interceptions for sure.
Huge. And like AJ, on Gyökeres, once again, I think we're starting to see a trend here, which is it's starting to get a little worrisome. And I don't know about you, but like he didn't turn up in a big game. Then again, though, who's really at fault? Is it him as a player, or is it the fact that once again he just didn't have service? Nobody was looking for him.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both in the sense that I think we are still trying to figure out how best to get him involved in the game and find him when he makes those runs. And I think naturally he's his kind of weapon is that he's kind of a battering ram. And so when he comes up against central defenders who are equally as big, if not bigger, in like a Van Dijk and Konate, or even last season when he was at Sporting and he played against Arsenal, Saliba and Gabriel, you can see that if somebody actually physically matches up to him, he struggles a bit more, which makes sense. I mean, I think that is the case probably for all players. But so I think it's partially an element of we need to be finding him better. I think it's partially an element of that's just the player he is. You know, he's more of a Haaland type striker where he's going to get very low touches. He's either going to bang you 2 goals or he's going to do nothing. And I think hopefully what we can do is every other game have him score a goal, because if he goes for long stretches of games without scoring, he's not involved or helping the team out in other ways. Whereas Havertz, for example, right, he's a lot more of a link player. He wins all of his aerial duels. He's the type of player that, and he presses better. So he's the type of player that, isn't as clinical, but probably works better for the team. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, we can get Havertz back soon so that we can kind of share the game time between them, because they have the qualities that the other one lacks. So
is Gyökeres more of an opportunistic striker in the sense that, he's there at the right time, the right place, trying to take the shot, or is he like more clinical, in picking his spots, so to speak, like when he shoots?
I think a lot of it's, the power that he puts behind his strikes, and I think he has good finishing in knowing where to put the ball, into the corners. And I think he's good at making runs, but he's not a great dribbler. He doesn't have, the most beautiful first touch. He's, again, not the type of player to link it up. And surprisingly, the one thing that's actually frustrated more than anything, and it's still early days though, is his aerial ability. I know that people talked about how he didn't score a single-headed goal last season. We saw it in preseason that we scored a nice header, but I'm not even talking about headed goals. I'm talking about anytime we went long, David Raya went long. I think Konate and Van Dijk won every single header against him.
Huge.
I know they're taller. They are huge, but I mean, he's a big guy too. He should be, pushing him off the ball and making sure he wins some of those aerial duels. So I felt like we couldn't, with those long balls, we couldn't hold on to it, and we weren't winning the second ball, especially in the second half. So that would be a big area of something that I hope he improves on.
Well, I think a lot of people are also saying, well, the physicality of the Premier League compared to the Portuguese league is completely different. You have massive beasts like Van Dijk and Konate, who are like it was Saliba, Gabriel, not as easy to sort of knock him around. But I think you are right. I think he's also big and he should be a lot more physical. Maybe it's his first clash against the best team in the country. Maybe it's just he had some heebie-jeebies, and he was kind of like laid back, and I think more laid back than he should have been. But I think it's I don't know. To me, yeah, you're right. They still haven't found a way to play with Gyökeres. I think Arteta has a problem still with and it's a good problem to have, trying to find that starting lineup. And I think what has really phased him is the injuries to Bukayo Saka. Eze coming in now, where does he slot? Nwaneri staying. I mean, it's a good headache to have. You just have to find it. And I think Gabriel Martinelli is another one that there was one where he clearly beat Szoboszlai and he could have passed it, but he's dribbling and dribbling and dribbling and dribbling, and then finally he does nothing. And I think he loses the ball to Konate. To me, I think that was the final straw for me. Honestly, I think the Martinelli experiment is done and over with. I don't know. I can't see him playing again compared to like when Eze came on, and he looked like a difference factor to me. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Martinelli experiment? Are you still like give him some time, or?
I mean, to be honest, I really liked the player, and I think what we saw from him 3 years ago, where he burst onto the scene, scored 15 Premier League goals, was a good finisher, pacey, actually good with his head. I still am hoping that there's that player in there, or at least, somebody who can contribute 10 Premier League goals would be amazing still. But you're right, every game that goes by, it just seems like he does that numerous times in the game where he just dribbles head down. He's not looking at the passing options that he has, and he doesn't really have the trickery to cut inside. So he's always going down the outside, which is fine if you can, still get some space to get across. But it's, mostly what he's able to do is beat the guy for pace. The guy ends up slightly catching up. He tries to cross it. It goes out for a corner.
Yeah.
And obviously we love our corners, but
Corners FC.
that shouldn't be his role, is to get corners for
You should cross it in.
Arsenal Football Club.
I
So I agree with you. I think Eze you saw, and Madueke even you saw on the other side, just the ability to beat their man, cut inside, outside, both feet, is something that I think he's really struggled with. And yeah, this is probably his last season where it's do or die. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I propose posting a trade for Mo Salah coming over to Arsenal
Seems fair.
and giving us the trophies, I think. Right, Amanda? What do you think?
You wish. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, what did you say? He's 94 going on 95. So
yeah,
he's the never ending one season wonder. So.
I mean, Amanda, you always hear me bitch and complain about Martinelli. What's your take on that? Are Arsenal fans being way too harsh on the player?
Yes and no. Like I've actually been to the Emirates as well. I had the pleasure of watching Liverpool beat Arsenal at the Emirates when King Kenny was.
Yeah, you had to say that. Okay, cool.
When King Kenny was in charge and Luis Suarez was getting goals for us and not spitting on staff members, but yeah, it's you guys are pretty harsh on your players. I remember sitting in that stadium and you guys went down 1-0 to Liverpool and it was an instant turn. So yeah, I think you can be harsh on the players, but I think you have a right to be harsh. Like AJ was saying, you get brought into the club for a reason and you underperform, or you end up performing in a different way, then yeah, I think you guys kind of deserve to be a bit harsh. These guys get paid a lot of money to produce goals, and if you're just not doing it, then what are you doing here?
Like at what point, Amanda, and because I want to bring it back to that Verts where AJ asked you about him. At what point do you, because he was like 150 million player, at what point do you start being like asking those hard questions? Is it still early days, like you mentioned, or do you give him like a couple more games, because he was a beast in Germany, and he's sort of coming in here, he's getting bossed around a little bit, kind of like with Zubamendi. I think this first game with Liverpool, and we can talk a little bit about him in a little bit, I think this was probably his worst game. But yeah, with Verts, are you're still giving him time, right? Like he's got time.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's the golden question, right? How much time do you give them? It's the same thing for players, for managers, anything to do, change in tactics. It's the golden question of how long do you wait until the experiment is kind of over. But Liverpool had the Community Shield, and then we come into the season, and okay, our first game was a bit rough, and then Newcastle wasn't an easy game either with everything going on, and then we get you guys who are arguably our contenders for the season. So it's been a rough couple of games. I'd love to come out of the international break, play Burnley, kind of start to get him involved in what we say are quote unquote easier games. But I think that the transfer windows are where they are for a reason. I think you kind of give that player a couple of months and reassess. I really would hate to see us spend that much money on a player who, was an exceptional talent elsewhere, and to see him fall flat would, not just as a Liverpool fan, but as a football fan. I don't know what happens there. It's really sad to see a player lose their spark like that. I really hope that this is just kind of, like you say, early days, shaking off the rust, getting into a new pace and a new groove, new team. I really want to give him that time to settle in and adjust, and I think it'll come.
And you know what? Moving towards like the actual like goal there, what it was like, I forget when it was, like close to the end of the game. It was like in the 70s
81st, maybe
81st minute.
Yeah.
Were you thinking, Amanda, that this game was going to end in a tie? Because I honestly thought, okay, we're both evenly matched. It's like a chess match, right? You're both moving back and forth, and like nobody is budging, and you're just waiting for that mistake. And it just had to be Arsenal that makes that mistake. But were you gearing for a tie, or at that point you were putting a lot of pressure in the second half? Liverpool was pushing. Did you sense that something was happening, or you're like, we're just going for a draw here?
I had this conversation with my dad, even including the Newcastle game. Being champions, winning what we've won in the last couple of years, and kind of the way that Liverpool's played, right until the end, I always feel like they're going to score. I don't know what it is, and I don't mean to sound cocky or overconfident, but they do just have that, and for you guys, it's annoying, ability to play until the very end. I think it's part of Slot's tactics. The more games that I watch, it seems like they flip a switch in the 60th minute mark where all of a sudden they're on and they play their best football in the last 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, however much extra time they add these days. But I was kind of had this bad feeling that, you guys would get a draw off us, but there's always that nagging feeling in the back of my mind.
Oh no.
That I'm like, we just need one. We need one opportunity, one chance. Yeah. And when we got that free kick, I thought, oh, did I cut out again? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Anyway, you're back.
I did feel like we were going to score eventually. I did feel like we were going to score eventually, and it did feel like it was not going to come from open play. It felt like we needed a corner or free kick or something, and we finally got one.
And it's and exactly what happened. I mean, AJ, that Zubamendi mistake there, like, were you thinking, okay, kind of like a professional foul, we kind of lost him, he's going in there, although I do criticize a little bit because there is a picture where you do see not Saliba, Mascara and Gabriel still ahead of the player who, I forget who it was it Salah or was it at the Kite, one of them. So I'm like, why does he have to do a foul right there? But surely, like, I was not expecting the freaking beautiful goal that Szoboszlai did there. Do you think Zubamendi, I don't know, he just lost a player, and it was clearly it was a stupid mistake. But
I mean, I think in hindsight you can say that, obviously, when Szoboszlai puts it top corner. I think we a few years ago would not have made that challenge, and potentially they would go on to score, which it was not a guarantee. So you'd have to kind of pick and choose when the right time to do those professional fouls are. I honestly am not being too critical of Zubamendi in that moment.
Right. Okay.
But I think as soon as Szoboszlai and Salah were talking about it, I was like, oh, this is a Szoboszlai. It's pretty dead center, 30 plus yards out. He scored a lot of those long range free kicks and goals for Leipzig and Hungary, his national team as well. So I was pretty worried when he was coming up to it. And yeah, obviously he did an amazing job. And like Amanda said, I think the fact that she's confident that Liverpool are going to score, I think there was a stat that they've scored 37 games in a row. So they haven't, it's not like they've tied 0-0. Even in their ties, they're still scoring goals, or even in their losses, they're still scoring goals. So I think, like we've been saying, though, too, it was an even match. It was actually, if you look at XG at all, it was the lowest XG game in the last 3 or 4 years in the Premier League. It was like 0.39 to Arsenal and 0.36 to Liverpool. So neither team really even deserved to score a goal.
Yep.
So when it's a wonder free kick like that, nothing you can say really except just applaud that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I was so pissed, but at the same time, I'm like, you can't get mad at that. Like, you can't get mad. Both teams were deadlock even. And
I don't feel like it was, obviously, the Zubamendi thing. I can see how it could be a mistake, but for me, it's kind of like no team's really made any mistakes.
Yeah,
and then it was just a wonder goal. I think Arteta said that in the interview after the game too.
Yeah, I think.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No,
I have a question for both of you on the goal, and I'm genuinely curious. After the game, Raya mentioned the new Puma balls. I don't know if either of you looked into it. I'm just curious on your opinion.
So I have something to say on this. So because it was the Puma ball question this time, and then last year I think it was also the Puma ball, and it was either the League Cup or the FA Cup that Arsenal were asked about this. In both cases, just to defend our players and manager, in both cases they were asked the question, what do you think, how has it been adapting to the new blank ball, right? The new Puma ball in this case. So I don't think Raya was at all blaming the ball or blaming the game on the ball. I mean, I think that's ridiculous. I think what he was saying is answering the question, and it is a little bit different, which we can all attest to. We've all kicked different soccer balls, footballs before, and they are all a little bit different. But I don't think these guys are professional players. They played with all types of balls, hacky sacks, rolls of toilet paper during COVID. I mean, they can play with anything. So it shouldn't be an excuse to not know how the ball's going to move or not know how it's going to play.
I mean, honestly, I don't have an opinion on it. I did see something about it, but I didn't really look into it at the time. I was really pissed off at Raya, and I was like, who cares, dude? It's not the ball, okay? It was a beautiful shot. I still think, and I don't know, criticize me all you want, okay? At me, I don't care. But like, I think he could have saved that. I honestly think he could have saved that, because if you do look at the video, okay, and there's a really good video, and I saw it from the Liverpool page on TikTok.
There's so many good videos.
Yeah, where he does that step, and I'm like, I swear to God, if he would have stepped a bit bigger, he would have got to that. But then again, I'm not a professional player. I don't know. I know that he's not the tallest, and no, like, I mean, there's nothing to go off on Soboslai there. Okay, I know it beautifully struck, just chef's kiss, and I'll give you that, Amanda. I still think he could have gotten some to it, and there's some videos where it kind of looks like he's like so there, but then again, I don't know. I think he could have saved it. Some people say that is a non-savable shot. Maybe I do agree. Probably, I don't know, man. I was just so
I
mad.
think it's a little hindsight. I think it's a little hindsight 2020, because if he takes that bigger step to his right where the ball ends up going, and then Szoboszlai puts it in the other corner, then we're like, Raya, why are your feet moving towards the right? Why didn't you set yourself to go to the left? So
I know.
You just got to commend the goal.
Yeah, no, I'd take nothing away from that strike. Just beautiful. I think it's contender for goal of the season with that Mark Gahey goal as well that I saw, Amanda.
Crystal Palace player, Mark Gahey.
Yeah. Oh, yes, Crystal Palace. Yes. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But
too soon.
Yeah, overall, I think those were the two best teams. They canceled each other out. It just so happens, like you said, Liverpool always find a way to score. That's been Arsenal's problem. I think where they can't find a way to score, they do everything so right, and then they just they concede a goal. But you know what? Honestly, and I don't know about you, AJ, but I'm not really mad. I'm still happy that we limited Liverpool to just a free kick, no open play goal. I think we still have the best defense in the league. It's just two really good teams, two amazing teams that have amazing players, and that was it. Like, I know people are saying that it was a boring match, but that's what you get with two good teams. They're trying to find a little inch here and there, and you can't be mad. Like, honestly, I mean,
I agree with you. I think I was obviously in the heat of the moment, extremely pissed off about the result, and especially because it was so late in the game. But I think the fortunate thing is that this is a game that's, in late August. This isn't a March, April, May crunch time game where those 3-point swings or 6-point swings really make such a big difference. I think Liverpool will lose along the way. So even if they lose to a Bournemouth, randomly, that eventually we can still make our way back. I don't think it's done just because of one game.
Quickly before I have
definitely.
Oh, go ahead, Amanda. Sorry, go.
All right, Mario. I was just going to say, coming out of yesterday's game as a Liverpool fan, I can tell you right now, I feel like we got away with it again, and I felt like that almost every game we've played so far. Whereas you guys are beating United and beating Leeds by an exorbitant amount of goals. You guys have had that we can do this every single game for us so far. As Liverpool has been a little bit nervy, and so I agree, AJ. We're gonna slip up along the way. Pardon the horrific pun. But we are going to slip it up. And I think, yeah, you guys have to take advantage and capitalize on that. And yesterday really didn't mean anything. It was really for the fans. And the 3-point gap is nothing in September.
I've always said, I and I'll say it again, Amanda, congratulations on winning the league. To me, I think that was the league winner.
Oh my god!
Because honestly, no. Think about it.
This guy.
Think
This
about
guy.
it. No. Honestly, think about it. We are now 3 points behind instead of a potential 2. Instead of a potential 2, because I thought we were going to draw with having that 1 point.
Would have been same.
There's this. I've said it. There's always been that one game that has lost us the league. Remember how we were talking about that? I think it was the second place trophy that we got. It was the Aston Villa, or the second time Aston Villa.
Second time,
yeah. I think this game might come to haunt us, because I think it's going to be that close between Arsenal and Liverpool. I still feel like we're going to give Liverpool more of a fight this season with all the signings we had. But then again, you guys signed the best striker in the world, so I don't know. Do you think it could come back to haunt us, AJ, so early on?
I mean, of course. Look, I mean, it's a loss and it's a win for them, so of course it could. And especially if we lose the league within 3 points, then everybody's going to point to this game. But again, I just think it's too early in the season to say that. I think anytime kind of January onwards, halfway through the season onwards, you can
that's the one.
Say that potentially was the one that lost to the league. But again, I'm sure Liverpool are going to lose along the way. I'm sure we're going to lose more along the way. So I think it's too early. I think it's going to be a season 2 where the league title is won by a lower amount of points than the 90s that we were seeing with City and Liverpool a few years ago. I think it'll be 82, 83 points that'll win you the league, and I think we'll be right around there.
I hope so. 2 points before we go into the break here. Quickly, AJ, your thoughts on Eze's first match with Arsenal. How did you feel? How did you?
Yeah, I think he came on left wing, because I think a lot of people were wondering, is he going to play in the 10 more? Is he going to be on the left wing more? So it's interesting to see him on the left wing. I thought he looked good. He had that one moment where he beat a few guys down the line, cut inside, but then didn't really just get his shot off. But no, looked promising. And I'm hoping now, especially with a couple weeks of the international break, he comes back and he starts the next game.
So you're overall satisfied with his introduction, the way he played, everything?
Yeah, I think he did pretty well against again the champions. So
I would agree.
I'm not too concerned that he's not going to have a good season. I think he'll do well.
Amazing. And Amanda, how did you feel about those 7 minutes added to the end of the game? Was it against Liverpool again? Huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, it always is, right? Like, I don't know. That's a whole other question, Mario, about VAR, what it's doing to the game, the amount of time that's being added on. We're seeing an average of 7, 8, sometimes 11 minutes. It's getting a bit out of hand. But yeah, it's any added time when we're winning, it's like time on a treadmill. It's like 10 times as long. So, yeah, wasn't thrilled with the added time, but understood kind of where it came from, but thankfully you guys didn't punish us for it.
Sucks. I have one more question actually to the both of you, because there's a lot of pictures circulating around the socials right now. Was that a late handball by Szoboszlai? Was that a penalty?
Never. Come on. That's not a question.
I was a little biased there, but
okay. I think I saw his audition tape for the Hungarian Olympic beach volleyball team. No. No, to be honest, okay, I would be upset if that was given against us, and I think that's a good marker to, judge these things on.
True.
But at the same time, based off of the calls that have already been given this year, just in the first 3 games of the season, with handballs, we've already seen a few, or I think there were 2 bad calls already with it that were at equal level to that, which I think all are not penalties. But if you're going to give those other 2, of course I was screaming at the TV hoping that they were going to give us that one.
Yeah, 100%. I think we'll take a quick little break there, and then we can come back and talk about some late crazy drama in the transfer window that is all swinging in favor of Liverpool, little bastards. But you can't be mad. You can't be mad. And then obviously, even at the top of the hour when we were talking about Mark Gahey apparently not becoming a Liverpool's player, we'll talk about that and some other little tad bits there. We do have a question from our first question from TikTok, so we'll answer that with the panel here. So we'll be right back. All right, we are back, and yeah, we're gonna talk some transfer news just for both clubs. We don't care about anybody else's clubs because they don't matter. I mean, Liverpool doesn't really matter as well, but we do have a Liverpool supporter here. But no, in reality, probably the signing of the season. I thought, Zubamendi would have been that, but Zuba who? Alexander Isak finally signs for Liverpool. And depending on where you see, it's either 130 million, 125, 150, whatever. It doesn't matter. He's a Liverpool player, and I think it was inevitable that he was going to be a Liverpool player. He only wanted to go to Liverpool, even though we were in for him, which I don't think we actually were. But happy days for you, Amanda. And like, how does this change? Because you do have ecstatic.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have to teach you how to say his name after this. But yeah, ecstatic for sure. How could you not be? I think that Slot has a vision for this season, and I think that we're not just going after the Premier League again, but I think he wants to go pretty far in the Champions League, and at least one or two other trophies would just be the cherry on top. But I don't want to put too much pressure on Isak, obviously. I think that he's done really well at Newcastle. Fitting in at Liverpool is just a completely different story as it is in any other team. So I think that the goals will come, but I really hope that the Liverpool fans don't put too much pressure on him. Certainly as much pressure as the rest of the league's going to put on, being how expensive he is, and again, Slot's vision for what he wants to win this season. But yeah, really happy to finally get it done. It's taken quite a bit of time, and there's been quite a bit of media sensation around it, which we never love to see. But it's finally over, and after this international break, he'll come back, and hopefully we'll see him in the next game or the next few at least.
Yeah, hit the ground running. Question though, if you would have signed Isak earlier in the window, would you have still signed Ekatike?
Ekatike? Well done. That was closer. That's a great question. I think the Ekatike signing was maybe a bit of a response to Isak, that being so unsure and how much Newcastle were demanding for him. It was also a bit of a power move in terms of Newcastle wanted him too. I think that was a bit of a slap in the face from Liverpool to Newcastle, and I personally enjoyed it. But yeah, Slot's going to have some options now, and it's the double-edged sword, right? It's great to have so many good players. How do you play them? It's going to be just another challenge.
It's a good, AJ and I have talked about. It's a good headache to have for Arne Slot to have this striker situation here, which is great. AJ, over to you. Huge. Like, we lose to Liverpool on Sunday night. I'm sorry, he has an opinion as well in the background there, guys. I don't know if you can hear him, but we lose to Liverpool, and then we get another one in the chest. We hear that they sign Isak.
Yeah, I think it's devastating for the rest of the league because of how good he's going to be, and with how much Liverpool have spent. The fact that they've actually rebuilt their squad in a really strong way, I think, is a little bit worrying for everybody since they were already champions last year. I do think it'll be interesting how everybody fits in, which we were kind of talking about earlier. Again, good problem to have, because especially with how many games everybody's playing, the injuries that all the teams are having, I think it's good to have that depth. I think it's expensive depth, though, in the sense that I actually don't think Ekatike then is going to start alongside him. I just think with Isak, Ekitike, and Mo Salah, I don't think you could have, even if we did a 4-4-2, Mo Salah's not going to be a right midfielder. He's going to be, one of the right wingers wanting to be on the end of things, scoring goals and assisting. So for me, I think it'll mean Ekitike drops to the bench. I think we may see like a midfield and forward line of Isak up top, Salah on the right wing. I think Verts then as the left winger who kind of comes inside with Kirk Hezbombing on the outside. Midfield of then you can keep all your midfielders in there. Then you have McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Gravenberch as the three midfielders for Liverpool. And then Ekitike coming off the bench for Isak, which is good for Isak because Isak has had a lot of injury issues. So maybe that could work well for him, that if you're winning a game by 60 minutes, just take Isak off, put Ekitike on. No need to play him longer than that if you're already still winning. Gakpo coming off the left wing as a bench option for Verts, for example. So yeah, I think it's strong. It's worrisome for all of us non-Liverpool fans.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think they had a good forward line to begin with. Obviously, it's been proven even in such a short amount of time, goals are there for Liverpool. And honestly, I think what they should have strengthened was the back line. And of course, as we were talking at the top of the hour there, they did sign Mark Gahey, but then they didn't because apparently the deal had collapsed despite medical being done. Deal sheet submitted. Crystal Palace don't approve of the move following Igor deal is off, apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano. Whether or not that still stands, I mean, I'm pretty sure Liverpool can appeal to that. I don't know how the transfer window, works after the fact, but I mean, I think that's where you guys should have strengthened, in my opinion, because you are vulnerable. But at the same time, you touched on that. Doesn't matter how many goals you concede as long as you produce more at the end. So how do you weigh that, Amanda? Like, does it matter because we're still scoring goals? Do we need more solidarity in the back?
Yeah, I think you always need to be at 100% in every area that you have to be in the Premier League. So yeah, I can sit here and say Konate had a great game yesterday. Are we going to see consistency from him? I fear not. So yeah, it would have been nice to have some more strength back there. Seeing Gomez come off the bench yesterday. Jeez, I forgot he even existed. Like, the dude's still at Liverpool. It's wild. Actually, I heard a rumor he was going to go today. I haven't seen anything yet, but he's just like the never-ending substitution, Joe Gomez. So do we want to rely on him still? Probably not. It would have been nice to get Gahey in, especially considering the goal he scored for Palace yesterday shows that he's multifunctional from the back, which we love to see that. So yeah, pretty disappointed, which is kind of shocking to say after signing Isak. So just a bit of a mixed bag day, but I would have loved to have seen Liverpool get Mark Gahey. And like you say, Mario, I don't really know how that works, what's going to happen after today. But it's more than likely just not going to happen. So I think we're stuck with what we've got. It's not a terrible pairing at the back, but there's definitely work to be done. Yeah,
most definitely. And like, I mean, speaking of which, Arsenal doing again according to what we see, the business again, with another defender in Del Piero Hincapié, or depending on how you pronounce it. You guys know I'm bad with names. Don't know much about this guy. The first Ecuadorian to play for Arsenal. Like, I don't know if you know anything about him, AJ. I'm pretty sure you know more than me. School me a little bit on this guy. Like, is it a good signing?
Yeah, he's a great signing. I mean, of course, it's another left back that we've bought, a center back, left back, which we love all those hybrid center back, fullbacks. I think it's a good move because Kivior, I think he deserved the chance to go out and play. So now he's gone to Porto. I think we did need to fill in somebody who's a left-footed center back, fullback. He's more in the Calafiori mold in that although he's played a lot of games at center back or in a back three, that kind of left center back role. He also has a lot of attacking quality. I think he's a little bit quicker than Calafiori. So I think he will play a lot of games at left back, but obviously he's also our Gabriel cover at left center back. So I think it's a great signing. What I'm more interested in is how it's going to eventually affect Miles Lewis-Skelly's time.
Right.
Because now if you think of Calafiori and Capier as being probably the two left back options that we have, then you would think Miles Lewis-Skelly is kind of third option in that position. So maybe he has more of a role in midfield, which is kind of where he was playing all his academy years. So I think that'll be interesting to see. One thing too on Guéhi, obviously it's a shame for Liverpool, especially because I think he also could fill in at fullback, and with having Frimpong and Kirkhez both very attack minded, I think it would have been maybe even a good idea to in some games rest Frimpong, who has injury issues too, play Guéhi right back. You could kind of have almost a back three in that sense, where you have three center backs and then Kirkhez is bombing on as the left back, and vice versa. I think he could even play left back since he plays, left of a back three for Palace. So shame for Liverpool, but weirdly for Mark Guéhi, I think it's not the worst thing in the world. He either could leave in January for cheap and still go to Liverpool, or he plays out his final year at Crystal Palace. He's the captain there, and then he's a free agent, and he gets to pick wherever he wants to go, get that signing on bonus. And I think if I were him, I would even consider moving to another team, not because obviously anything to do with Liverpool. It's more to do with just his own game time and wanting to be, one of the most important players in the team. I think he could join Chelsea, United, Spurs.
Ew.
I know, but he could join them and be a guaranteed starter. Even City, I think he could be getting a good amount of game time there too. Whereas with Liverpool, I do think, obviously Van Dijk eventually will go.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Van Dijk, Konate, I don't think he's going to come in and start over one of them guaranteed. So, not the worst thing in the world for him that he gets to play out potentially another year with Palace.
Hey, who knows? He might come to TFC. No, he won't. It's a terrible joke. I'm just saying.
Bring Josie back.
Yeah. Oh God, Josie. Yeah, Josie Altidore, TFC legend, by the way. Yeah. No, I think talking more so about the transfer windows between Arsenal and Liverpool, and look, I think both teams did a really good job in the transfer window. Both teams filled in the spots where they needed to fill them in, and I'm not the type to come out here and say, oh yeah, let's compare who had the better transfer window. Is it 210 million pre obviously Isaac, where you guys signed just two players, Liverpool did, or did Arsenal have the better transfer window because they signed like 18 players for 210 million? I mean, I'm not along those lines. More so, I'm like, both teams, I think, had an amazing transfer window. They filled in where they needed to, in whatever positions that they needed to fill. But I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I'm gonna ask, who had the better transfer window? I know both of you are gonna say Arsenal, and the other one's gonna say Liverpool. But curious, like, there's a shout for both. And we can start off with you, Amanda.
Sure, yeah, there definitely is a shout for both, and I think it's always really difficult to say what makes a good transfer window. We've had transfer windows in the past where we didn't sign a lot of players, we didn't spend a lot of money, but they turned out to be incredible players. I mean, like you say, Mario, to play devil's advocate, have we had a good window with the amount of money that we've spent? I don't know. I really don't know. I know that we've won a lot lately and we've kind of earned the right to spend that much money. But that's a lot of pressure to put on some players. That's a lot of money out the door. and there's a lot of expectation among the fan base now of, okay, we've spent this money, you guys have a reputation ahead of yourselves, and we expect something. And I don't want to get my hopes up, and as excited as I am about Isak, um, I really hope that he comes in and just plays really good football. So yeah, I mean, in terms of who had the better transfer window, I'd love to say us because we might not have needed him, but we got the guy that we wanted to get, and that was Isak. But I'll pass it over to AJ to rebut my claim.
No, I mean, to be honest, I'm just trying to go through everybody in my head. I mean, I think it's pretty tight either way. I think the Isak one might just push it in Liverpool's favor. And with that extra spend, I think that kind of Arsenal spent a ton too, by the way. We're second highest spending.
Yep.
So not downplaying how much we spent. But I think the amount more that Liverpool spent kind of is the amount better that the transfer window was. I think it kind of evens out with how much was spent. Because I think if you look at Liverpool, you got about 4 new starters. You got Kirk has left back, Frimpong right back, Verts attacking midfielder, left wing, and Isak, who I think are guaranteed starters. And then you also got Ekatike, right, who I don't think is guaranteed starter now with Isak. With Arsenal,
right.
Let's see. I mean, Gyökeres, I think, and of course he'll share game time with Havertz, but I think mainly going to be the starter. Eze, I think, will now be the starter, probably at left wing. Zubamendi in central defensive midfield, and then I think the other players are going to share game time. The Madueke is going to share, Hincapié is going to share. So we probably got 3 nailed on starters, and I think they got 4 nailed on starters, and with one of them being Isak, I maybe would just tip it in Liverpool's direction. But I agree with both of you guys that an amazing transfer window from both teams. I think clearly the best 2 teams in the league and strengthened the most. So it'll be an interesting season.
I'm gonna give you maybe a different perspective in my head that I'm just sort of thinking about as you guys were talking. I'm leaning towards Liverpool as well. Obviously, he's the best striker in the world, but I'm looking at it. I think Arsenal does have a nod because of how early they did the business this coming transfer window, which is unheard of. And correct me if I'm wrong. In yesteryears of Arsenal's transfer history, in like, I mean, in from what I can remember, Arsenal have always been the deadline day panic buy. I mean, Raheem Sterling was one of them in recent years, but Mesut
Mikel
Ozil,
Arteta.
yeah, exactly. But Mesut Ozil as well was a huge deadline day deal. But I think Arsenal spending the money early, I think is a huge nod. And that goes down to Andrea Berta, I think, coming in. A person who has done it in the bigger clubs as well. Not like Edu did pretty well, but he was obviously going downhill towards the end there, bringing in Raheem Sterling and stuff like that. But I think Arsenal did very well coming in hot, and I think that bringing those players in early, gelling them in, bringing them into the fold very quickly, like your Madueke's, Zubamendi's, Gyökeres. I think mid transfer window he came in and he was gelling and he started. Not like in previous seasons where Arsenal, they would bring these players in late and then they wouldn't play for like 2-3 games into the season, or some they were already they're signing them and the season has already started and we're like points behind. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm going to give it to Liverpool just slightly, just because of the way they've come and done it. Like Slut has done a really good job with Liverpool.
Yeah, I think if you look too at our 2 teams, I think we both have incredibly strong teams. I think the difference I would say with Arsenal and Liverpool is I think Arsenal probably have now a deeper squad than Liverpool does.
Okay.
but I think Liverpool has more of that stardust. I think if you look at it, I think Arsenal, all of our players are 8 or 9 out of 10. Like, we have 2 players in every single position, if not a third player in every single position, and I think they're all of a very high quality. I think Liverpool have slightly less players, but they have maybe a range of 7 to 10 out of 10, right? They have the Isaac, they have the Salah, who are the 10 out of 10s. But then they maybe have some other 7 out of 10 players. Like, they still have Andy Robertson. I think Connor Bradley is obviously good, but as a backup right back, he's good. He's, center back, you were talking about Joe Gomez, right? So I think they have less depth than we do, but those 2 star players in Isaac and Salah, and now Verts, depending on how well he does in his first season, make it tough. Whereas I think us, it's still really Saka is the 10 out of 10. Everybody else is more in that 8, 9 out of 10 range.
So what I think you're saying is that Arsenal are the new Galacticos.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
So we have a chance.
Yeah, so we do. And then McAllister is a 2 out of 10.
Yeah, that adds up.
I agree with you, AJ. When we're relying on 16-year-olds to come off the bench and score winners, it's not ideal. But to me, it sounds like you guys need that depth if you guys are constantly getting injured. I was talking to Mario about it the other day. I said, what is that about? Like, is there, I don't know, is it something in training or something that's not in training? Like, I think that's a genuine concern for you guys, and I think you need that depth. I don't know if it's because you play really hard and run very hard. I know that Jurgen, that happened to him in one of his first seasons coming into the Premier League, and I think there's an overcompensation with physicality and training that leads to these constant injuries. You said Saliba rolled his ankle just in warm-up, and it's like, oh man, like
it's
for stuff like that
to
be happening in such a simple, controlled environment, it's definitely concerning. So I think you're right. You guys do have that depth, but I think it's because you need it. Like,
yeah, I agree, but I want to talk to you guys because there's an interesting comment here. Now, because of Isak signing for Liverpool, does that kind of put the pressure off of Arsenal, who second place FC? People crying that there's a comment here. There's a tweet that people have been crying that Arsenal cannot finish second. We must win the league. When Liverpool have spent 150 on Verts, Isak, 100 million on Ekatike, that's 400 million, and then another 170. Well, this was pre-Gahey not signing, but Kirkes, Frimpong, Giovanni, and Joe Pesci. If Liverpool don't win the treble, is that even a bigger failure than second place FC for the last 3 seasons? AJ, we'll start off with you.
No, I think all those comments are just clickbaity,
yeah.
Twitter comments. I don't think Liverpool have to win the treble or else it's a failure. I don't think they have to win the league or it's a failure. I think they are clear favorites now. Or they are favorites. I shouldn't say clear favorites, but I think they're definitely favorites.
Right.
And with Arsenal again too, I mean, I really hope we win the league, and I really hope we could win the Champions League. One of those 2 big trophies would be amazing. Because we've missed it so much. But for me, again, it's just like, and Mario, we can attest to this, and you can probably attest to this too, Amanda. Like 2000, right when you started watching and getting into it, 2006, 2016, before Klopp came in. Besides a little flirtation with it in like 2014 with Suarez, I mean, you had not a good run of years in that 10-year time frame.
Yeah,
Arsenal from 2000, really, like when we started not looking good was like 2009 to about 2019, that 10-year run. And then since Arteta's come in, we've just improved so much that even if we did get second place again, which I really hope not, but I just remember those days of we just only were focused on getting top 4. We looked, men against boys when we would play these big teams, and I don't feel that feeling at all. So I think you have to sometimes consider yourself lucky and count your blessings when you're supporting a team that's one of the best in the world. Of course, I hope we get it across the line this season, but anybody calling for Arteta's head to be sacked, I think is just ridiculous. I think it just doesn't make sense to me. He's clearly one of the best managers in the world and has clearly turned us from not even close to the title to close year on year. So, yeah, I don't think Liverpool or Arsenal have to win X, Y, and Z.
That's interesting because you also did bring up something that I wanted to talk to you guys about as well, which is Champions League. I can't believe we forgot about that. So I think we can segue into the Champions League draw for both teams. I think. I mean, overall, Amanda, what's your opinion on both teams' Champions League draws? I mean, I think the one. I think I'm gonna predict your answer here. The one that you're salivating about is the Liverpool match. Sorry, the Real Madrid match, the homecoming of a one once a red.
I can't remember his name now. Yeah, absolutely. Even without Trent, Real Madrid is always a team that we both love and hate to get. I think if you can go into the Champions League and beat these teams early, it's always great, but it's always hard to do. We've got a year's worth of beef with Real Madrid, and I would love to just end it this season in the biggest way possible.
I hope so.
But yeah, I think we talked about it the other day, Mario. I think we got a tougher draw than you guys did. I think you guys got some really easy games. You have some tough games too. It's the Champions League. You're going to get tough games, but getting teams like Galatasaray, even like it's, they're not nobodies. They're in the Champions League for a reason. I think sometimes you can shrug these teams off and be like, oh, it's just little Galatasaray, but they can surprise you sometimes, right? So yeah, we have the tougher than you guys. But I commit. I think that we're a strong team, and I think that I'm going to enjoy some of those games a lot.
And you, AJ, what do you think? Those
draws? Yeah, I think I agree with Amanda's assessment. I mean, but I agree that it's the Champions League. All these games are tough. Even the Galatasaray now have just signed Gundogan. They got Leroy Sané. They have Osimhen. I mean, our famous Lucas Torreira there as well. So I think all the games are going to be difficult, but I'm confident that we'll, again, be one of the top teams of the Champions League and make it to the knockout rounds without having to do that extra qualifying round.
Yeah, I think Amanda, we were talking about, that, we had the easier draw. But we were having a laugh at that and who has it. But you know what? None of these teams are easy. They're in the Champions League for a reason, regardless of what league they play. I think Kairat Almaty is going to be a crazy game for Arsenal, going all the way out is in Kazakhstan. And obviously the Bayern Munich, God damn it, every single time, just craziness with them. Olympiacos has never been an easy match for Arsenal. They've won at the Emirates, I think. An Athletic Club, Nico Williams. And Atletico Madrid is also a tough one. Slavia Prague, we played. And then, Galatasaray, you're right. I think Frankfurt also a homecoming for Ekatike Ekatike, whatever his name is, and no, not Verts. Verts was
Ekatike.
Yeah, there you go. I can never say his name right, or I gotta think about it. PSV. But yeah, I think it was a good draw. I think Amanda and I were talking about it as we were watching it. But it's the Champions League. I hope Arsenal can make it further than what we did last season. I don't think. Why not? Why not go for it now? I think, I still, for me, the preference is the league. I want to win the EPL more than I do the Champions League, even though the Champions League is massive. I think us as Arsenal fans are sick and tired of, getting memed every single time that we don't have a Champions League trophy. So I think that would be pretty cool as well. But yeah, not a pretty good Champions League draw than some other ones. I mean, which ones did Manchester United get? Oh, they're not in there. They're not in it. They're not in it. Yeah. I was just thinking about it. But yeah, no, I think looking forward to those matches as well. obviously we're going into an international break, which always sucks, because what are you going to talk about? Maybe I have some ideas that we can formulate to talk about another podcast maybe next week. Just shooting the shit and talking about matches and whatnot. But yeah, I'll obviously I do that on the weekly wrap up, where we'll talk a little bit more in depth about the transfer window and some really big upsets in the Premier League this week number 3. Including obviously Liverpool beating Arsenal, which was always going to be a tough game. But we just to wrap things up here, we do have a question for the first question that we have from TikTok, which is great. So thank you very much to at yours.only24 on TikTok, which is his name is just number 12, and it's open to the panel. So I think we'll start off with you, AJ. Your honest thoughts on Zubamendi. Is the Premier League physicality getting onto him? And also, but I think you've already talked about giving Arteta a little break here. So I think we know the answer to that. But plus, the manager doesn't want to win the league.
Lots to unpack there, but no, I don't think that Zubamendi's not going to be a good player in the Premier League. I think he will be a great player in the Premier League. I think we saw his quality in preseason and in the first 2 games, especially. I think he did, fine enough against Liverpool. I think it's just obviously you're playing the champions. It's going to be a tough game. I do think he's an improvement on Partey, so I'm honestly not worried about Zubamendi being a good player. I think he'll be a great signing for Arsenal. And of course, like I said earlier, won't take too much time, but on the Arteta thing, I think it's just crazy. I think he's so clearly been, we haven't had a team managed this well since the first half of Wenger, since 2006, 2007. That was probably our last time when we were this good. So genuinely don't believe any of that. Who are we going to bring in? Oliver Glasner from Crystal Palace, who I think is a good manager, but he's not better than Arteta. So no, doesn't make any sense. Arteta's top 5 manager in the world for sure.
Yeah. I'll give my opinion after. I mean, Amanda, you're not an Arsenal supporter, but still relevant question, maybe from a different perspective, you looking inside.
I agree with AJ. I think there's always an adjustment period coming into the Premier League for some of these guys, and we talked about physicality today, and that especially at Liverpool, I commented on Kirkaz's need to adapt, and they will. They just will. It just it takes a while to get used to. As for the Arteta comment and the pressure that's being put on him, I agree, AJ, more than anybody. Like you have to give these managers time, and I feel like some people's perspective on time is like a year or 2 these days. We're so impatient, and like you said, those bad times can last 10-15 years. Sometimes it takes that long to get the good times back. So if you need to give a manager a decade to do something, give it to him. It's there's far too often. Ari and I were just talking about it this morning that Ten Hag was let go at Leverkusen after 3 games, only 2 league games, and he was 1-1-1. It wasn't like he lost all 3 of them. And it's wild the amount of times we give these managers, but I think the one frustration that Arsenal fans might have with Arteta, that at least from an outside perspective, is that he seems to want to not lose more than he wants to win sometimes. And I think that's the frustration for you guys, is that mentality of, I just don't want to lose. And sometimes that can lead to a draw, and sometimes it can actually lead to you losing. So I'm hoping that, well, not hoping, but for your sake anyway, Mario being a friend of mine, I'm hoping to see Arteta maybe change up that tactic this year and listen to the fans and go out and play football and actually want to win something and come out aggressive.
Yeah, I think that's a really good perspective to come out with, and I think my thoughts on that is I think Zubamendi, we just had 1 crappy game. I mean, you can give it to him. I think every player in the league, regardless of whether they play for Arsenal or not, are going to have those days, and I think they're allowed to have those days when they're that crappy. But you know what? You pick yourself up and you move on again, like a lot of these players say. I think on the Mikel Arteta comment, you guys are bang on. I think we're now the days of the long-term manager like your Sir Alex Ferguson's, your Arsene Wenger's, I think is gone, and I think that has to do a lot with social media and how people get on these managers real quick. And I think it does play a role in like getting rid of them. Like you said, Ten Hag, he's really crappy at Man United. And then he was gone. I mean, obviously he had more time. Now we're seeing that with Ruben Amorim, where the guy looks like he's lost sleep. Which I'm pretty sure he has, and you're not giving him time. Is Ruben Amorim's fault that that Manchester United are not playing? Maybe there is, yeah. Maybe the tactics aren't right. Maybe it's not, he's just not doing more training. Is he a good manager? I think so. I think he was a good manager at Porto. Look at what he did with Porto. But I think everybody's quick to jump on these players. These managers. And my question that I always ask these people, sorry, AJ, my question that I ask these people is, who are you going to bring in? Okay, so you get rid of Arteta. Who are you bringing in then? There's nobody.
Big Sam.
Sorry?
Oh gosh, Big Sam.
Big Sam.
Oh yeah,
Sam Allardyce.
Yeah,
Sam Allardyce is the solution to everybody's problem.
Yeah, and I just think too with all of these other managers that you brought up as examples, like Ten Hag, whether it was at United or his couple of games at Leverkusen, or Ruben Amorim now at United. Basically, all the United managers the last few years, and all the Chelsea managers the last few years, since they always sack them very quickly.
Yep.
But also, a lot of those guys, it is kind of up for debate because they aren't doing well.
That's true. Yep.
The whole Arteta thing I don't get, because it's like, he's made us so much better.
Yep.
And let's say we've been a 9.9 out of 10 team, and you're looking for a 10 out of 10 team. It's like, damn, dude, we're so much better than where we were before he joined. And I don't see that there are that many, if, a couple, you could say, that are on his level or better. So for me, it doesn't make any sense. At least Ruben Amorim, they've won 25% of their games. He's managed 28 United games. They've won 27 points from that. That is shit.
It is huge,
right?
Yeah, it is huge.
So, but also I understand giving him more time, but that's at least up for debate. I just think I'm like passionate about Arteta. I just think the Arteta thing just does not make sense. The only thing I can agree with is what Amanda said, that I don't think it's necessarily like, I mean, maybe against Liverpool, we kind of go in mindset at Anfield, try to not lose. But I think most games we do go with the mindset of intensity and trying to win. This whole Arsenal is Stoke thing, I don't agree with. My only real concern with Arteta is his substitutions. I don't want to get into it too much because we already talked about the game, but like, I liked how he brought Max Dowman on against Liverpool, but you took off Madueke. It's like, bro, you brought on you took off a right winger for a right attacking player. We're already losing. Take off a defender, bring Max Dowman on. That's totally fine. So those kind of things, he's not a risk taker within games. Whereas Wenger used to be like too risky, but he would be like, I'm going to take off 2 defenders and bring on 2 attackers. We're just going to have no defenders. Like Theo Walcott's playing center back, right back. It's just like, go for it. But, we would sometimes win or tie. I'd rather us have rolled the dice potentially to tie 1-1 against Liverpool.
Yeah.
But potentially lose 2-0 versus not really changing much with bringing Dowman on for the same position in Madueke.
Yeah, I think I agree with Amanda there. I think you really good perspective that I never really saw, of not being bolder enough. And I think that kind of is the difference maker there, not being bold enough to go out there and go for the win, which is crazy. But at the same time, I think to close off this argument here is just remember where Arsenal were pre-Arteta, and look at what Arteta has done through these, 5-6 years that he's been there. It's gonna take time, like Amanda said. It's gonna take time, and I think we're at the precipice of that. But at the same time, Liverpool are also there, or have are slightly ahead, right? This could be another one of those where Arsenal, Manchester United back in the days where they were fighting all the time, top two teams. Liverpool was always there as well. But yeah, it all comes down to is if you get rid of Arteta, who's coming in? Do you know? So I think that's it for me, I think. Any final thoughts on that before we move on to the sort of the last part here? No? Awesome. I think, so you know what? There is an international break, which always sucks because you have that tendency for players coming back injured and, injury. Now we're going to be called Injured FC, as opposed to Corner FC. But looking ahead to match week 4, Arsenal play Nottingham Forest, and depending on where you're seeing these, David Ornstein, Bomba, Nottingham Forest apparently have signed Alexander Zinchenko, and that could be his first game against his old club. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know if that's for real. Obviously, David Ornstein is a credible source, but then again, you don't know it until it's on Arsenal.com, or in this case, Nottingham Forest, I should say. Did I say Newcastle?
No, you said
okay,
Forest.
Yeah, okay. I was like,
Forest,
yeah. AJ, pretty straightforward game. I mean, Nottingham Forest is a tricky little candidate there, but I think Arsenal have what it takes to win.
Yeah, I think it should be a pretty comfortable win. I think Forest have dropped off from last season. I think all the issues behind the scenes too with Marinakis, Edu, and the coach Nuno Espirito Santo.
That's right.
I think has made them weaker. I think losing Alanga to Newcastle, getting Zinchenko, that's crazy because that must have happened right while we were recording this. But if they do actually get that over the line,
that's huge.
mean, I think it's a decent signing. To be honest, I think it depends because Ola Aina, their right and left back, he can play both sides. But he's much more of an attacking threat than a Zinchenko is. So yeah, it'll be interesting, but honestly not too worried about it. I think it should be a comfortable 2-0 or 3-1 win.
Yeah, a good bounce back definitely for Arsenal, and yeah, that mafia guy, owner for Nottingham Forest, scary looking guy. But yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. And we don't talk about any other teams here, but because we have a Liverpool supporter here, what do you Burnley? I mean, to me, you don't even have to talk about it. That's an automatic win. Are we going to see Isak there make his debut? But it's just by how many goals is Liverpool going to win?
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to have a bit of a rout, but I would never count my chickens. They were pretty close. I think United got lucky against them this weekend. And Burnley have been scoring goals. So, yeah, I'd love to see Liverpool win that by 2 or 3-0. I think the big thing for Liverpool, like AJ said, we're 37 matches now scoring goals, which is phenomenal. But I'd be terrified to look at how many clean sheets we've kept in that time. So I think a clean sheet against Burnley and a couple of goals would be fantastic. And either Isak starting or coming off the bench. I know I'll be watching Sweden this international break to see what happens, but yeah, hopefully a win for Liverpool against Burnley and keeping pace with you guys, because I'm pretty sure you're gonna beat Forest as well. So
you're 3 points ahead, man. Don't worry about it. You're good. Oh
my God, it's 3 points, dude. Chill.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be good for Liverpool. And what is that? That's Scotty Parker's team, right? Burnley. Weren't we talking about how he might be the first manager to be sacked? But I think another nod to, like, one of another is the Manchester Derby there, which I hope both teams lose. Obviously that's not realistic there, but yeah, that'll be an interesting one. So and then match week 5, Arsenal City. That's gonna be salivating, and hopefully we're gonna be winning that match because the City has been absolute garbage. But yeah. Anyways, I mean that's pretty much all that we have for the podcast here, unless AJ or Amanda want to come out with something that they want to talk about. But if not, yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We appreciate it. Of course, you can find the podcast on and everything that we do, whether it's social media or anything. You can find us at shamblesfc.com. And if you want to, ask us questions, by all means, in all of our socials. Ask the questions. We always love it. Give you a nice little shout out there on the podcast. And then finally, I would like to thank Amanda and AJ for coming on to the podcast. I really appreciate you guys taking the time on your Labor Day Monday weekend to come in and talk about the Arsenal versus Liverpool match, which unfortunately did not go our way. So Amanda, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and would love to definitely have you back on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Mario, and AJ. Great to chat with you as well. I think we visit you guys in January, so maybe I'll be back on here after that match as well, talking about how well Liverpool played and how we crushed you again. So.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping that's a W for us. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're more than welcome to come back and chat that Arsenal win. AJ, thank you so much as always, bro, for coming on and doing the podcast with me as always, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mario. Always appreciate you, putting in all the actual hard work of getting it all set up with all the equipment, recording, putting in all the various platforms. So yeah, I really appreciate you doing all of that. And Amanda, is really nice to meet you. I think you had a lot of good insight in Liverpool and just the Premier League and football in general. So I think definitely this would be great to have another chat. And final thing is, up the Clarets, go Burnley.
I love it. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Once again, you can find us on shamblesfc.com. Have yourselves a good rest of your week. We will talk to you on Thursday when we do the weekly wrap-up show right here on shamblesfc.com. Peace.